If you're watching the news, there are plenty of stories about what's happening inside there.
Mitch McConnell tried to
Chuck
set another
Schumer
vote
said
for
no
9:25
to
this morning.
This is not one of those stories. In fact, this story is for
This story is for people who are sick, or were sick, or are worried about getting sick. This story is for people that have already lost their job, or are at least worried about losing their job. And give me a few minutes here. Stick with me till the end, because I've realized a couple of things lately that I really think can help all of us. See, in just the last few days, I found out that 3 of my friends came down with the coronavirus. They are all okay, but friends have lost jobs, they've taken big pay cuts. It is all just a lot.
I realized I have not left my apartment building since Saturday night, so I was going a little stir crazy, and it's a really nice sunny day out in Washington, D.C., so I decided to just run. Turn on some Carly Rae Jepsen and just run. And I noticed people smiling and taking pictures with the cherry blossoms. It's so beautiful, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Have you guys been cooped up inside?
Yeah, a little bit.
How's it feel to just get outside?
Oh, it feels good.
I kept a safe distance, but man, seeing people walk a dog, run, a couple sitting on a bench,
This is a fresh air.
it all just helped.
So we started doing this yesterday. Because I hadn't been outside for 3 days. And so I was like, come for a walk with me.
Same here.
Yeah, so we're doing like hour and a half walks.
And how do you feel after that hour and a half of just being outside and walking?
Oh my god, yesterday was so
better.
much better.
A lot better.
It's like ridiculous. Yeah.
A little exercise can make all the difference.
How do you feel afterward?
Much better. Yeah, especially a lot of people in this city live in small 1-bedroom places, don't get a lot of sunlight, not a lot of places to move around, so trying to get out, especially in the middle of the day when there's no one outside exercising, you can be alone and still get some sun.
Howard closed down its dorm, so we just drove up from Florida because I was out there for spring break for my parents. And we drove up, cleaned out the dorm, taking grad pictures real back before driving back down. It's calm. The chaos is in your mind, right?
She's right, and maybe you're someone that has never meditated before, but why not give it a try right now? And even though we're supposed to social distance, or millions of people are being asked to shelter in place, when you go to get groceries, what if instead of driving, what if you walk? And on that walk, you just decide to be more present. You notice the flowers in bloom, you notice the squirrel running through the grass, or you notice the inscription of the Gettysburg Address so many people miss as they stare at the sculpture of Lincoln instead.
It's certainly not the same as when we were engaged in a civil war, but I can't help but think in this war that the front lines are the nurses, the doctors, the healthcare workers.
Gratitude. That is another thing that I realized is so very important right now. Find little things to be thankful for. And then I met this couple, both active duty military, both entering a 14-day quarantine just in case our country needs them.
Did you ever imagine that you would need to serve in this way at home, here?
No.
She actually said it before. No.
No, I never even thought that I'd even have to say that I'm about to get quarantined. And it's really crazy to think about that it got to that point that I'm 20 years old. I never thought in my life I'd ever have to be quarantined.
Never expected it, personally. What I think is go out, enjoy life, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Don't let everything get to you.
Well, I hope you both just honestly don't have to do anything, but if you do, thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Thank you for your support.
It is so simple. It's so simple to just say thank you. When you see someone in a uniform of any kind, say thank you. When you see someone in scrubs, say thank you. When you see that cashier at the grocery store who might be wearing latex gloves or a mask, in all likelihood risking their health for minimum wage just so that you can buy groceries, say thank you to them. Smile at them. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it will mean the world to people right now. It is exactly the kind of thing that is going to help us all get through this, to help us remember what's really important in life and hopefully come out on the other side of this a whole lot better.
You know, we met because of illness, and now for the wedding to be canceled because of illness, it sort of has made us realize that our health is the most important thing and being together is the most important thing. What's up? My first name is Elliot, last name is San.
And my name is Emily Mai.
We met in the hospital. I was a cancer patient. I was a leukemia patient, and I was transferring my care. At the time, I was living in Los Angeles, and I was going back to Chicago because I was actually moving home with my parents to continue treatment because we weren't exactly sure what was going to happen, and I was going to get this thing called a stem cell transplant to hopefully cure the leukemia, and that was going to be done at a hospital in Chicago, Northwestern. I actually met Emily the very first day I rolled in there. When I rolled my suitcase in, Emily was actually the nurse who was admitting me. So she was like the first person I saw in this room that was going to be my home for like a month or so.
We just, got to talking. I was taking care of him, asking him things about himself and his life, and I met his parents there because they were with him. But I took care of him for a few days, and so we kind of got to know each other, and we just realized that we had a lot in common.
I saw her a couple times, like I had appointments, and we would like go get like a coffee, and she would kind of catch up, and then eventually kind of down the road I got strong enough to just go on my own, and we actually got to like kind of go on a first date type thing, just the two of us walking around Chicago about 2 months after I was discharged. A couple weeks later, I was in the hospital for another transplant, and this time she wasn't my nurse. This time she was just coming to visit me as my fiance. So we did another month there, and then I was out right before Christmas. And then from there, we basically started planning the wedding, and we pushed it out kind of far enough in advance that I would be healthy and everything would be good for a wedding after that. And that's why we chose March of this year, actually last weekend. 2 days ago, Saturday? Mm-hmm. And then the coronavirus came and decided to cancel that. We have older aunts and uncles and our grandparents. We just didn't want them to be, I think both of our grandparents would have been flying for the first time in years, like a long time. And we didn't want them going on an airplane, going through LAX, kind of getting exposed in a lot of these ways. And I'm an immunocompromised person myself, so we were also abundantly cautious about just myself. You want to be hugging your family members, you want to be having a really good time, and, to be under the circumstances of like everyone kind of staying their distance and shaking, even shaking hands you couldn't really do, so. We are happy and grateful to be healthy and together, and there have been times in our lives where we were not able to be healthy and together, so we would rather be healthy and together and still waiting to be married, even though we would love to be married right now. For now, we're dealing with it, and staying home seems to be the best way. So spend time with your loved ones at home.
This is Sauce Pizzeria in New York City, and this is owner and chef Adam Elzer. His team's busy making hundreds of pizzas for the city's healthcare heroes. It started when a nurse at a local hospital called in with an order.
She had expressed that basically they weren't eating in the hospitals, they were working these really long shifts, and restaurants were closing all over the city, so they weren't able to get food. Then I delivered the pizzas to the hospital myself, and I got a look at what was going on, and I got a sense that they really needed some support.
Adam and his business partner Perry decided to donate the pies as a thank you, but it didn't stop there.
Now we're trying to send about 300 pizzas a day to the hospitals. We're just going off of whatever we can do each day. And each pizza that we send feeds 4 people. So if we can do 300 pizzas, that's feeding 1,200 doctors and nurses through the crisis.
The response they've received at the hospitals has inspired the team to keep cooking.
I love pizza because pizza makes people smile. Almost everybody likes pizza, and the reactions are awesome. A lot of the people that are in there, they need this care, and they need the nurses and doctors to be focused and to feel appreciated so that they can give the patients the care that they need to survive.
Like for millions of other business owners in the country, the pandemic has forced Adam to make some very difficult decisions.
On Monday, we were laying off a huge amount of our people. So the week started just being a very difficult week as an owner of a restaurant. It felt like everything was being taken away from me. And instead of focusing my energy on that, I decided to focus my energy on how I can help.
Sauce Pizzeria's goal is to be making 1,200 pizzas a day for the city's healthcare workers across all 4 Sauce locations. They've asked their customers and followers on social media to contribute, and for every pizza they donate, Sauce Pizzeria will donate another. Adam hopes other restaurants that are able do the same.
My main hope is I want people to understand that there's this really crazy need right now, and however they can to support the doctors and nurses that are on the front lines of this would be awesome. So whether you can send pizza or whether you can send something else that will make them smile, I think that knowing that we are behind them and that we admire them and really appreciate what they're doing is the most important thing.
I really have to pick out things that I can live without, and we'll see what happens with my future.
A lot of people genuinely don't know where they'll be sleeping in the next 48 hours or what they're going to do with all their things.
So I have to pack 4 years of my life in 2 days and try to decide what am I going to do with my future. This is like running away from a war because I only have 2 days to pack and I need to take all my essentials, like things that's going to last me for the foreseeable future.
Most of these boxes, besides these 3, have been brought in the last, 48 hours. This is mostly residential college, so a lot of us, have boxes that we use to pack and unpack things at the end of every year and the beginning of every year, but it's all very last minute. On Monday, we started hearing about other schools around the country starting to move to online classes, and some of them even telling students to not come back after spring break. But on Wednesday during lunchtime, that's when that axe fell. That Wednesday evening, we had a senior dinner at the dining hall, and that was planned, months in advance, but it kind of became our graduation. And it's been just a lot of chaos trying to figure out where people are going to live. A lot of people are international students or can't go home for some reason or another. And this has been a really trying and difficult time for everyone.
4 years, so I'm a senior, or I'm supposed to graduate in May, so that would be like 4 years, but now it's been cut short, so.
Where you flying back
To Chengdu, China. It's southwest China, so the situation is getting much better in my city, so now we only have 20 cases in total, and people are coming back out on the streets and shops are opening back up, so I'm hopeful that the situation back home will get much better, than here. I don't know. I'd have to probably wake up at 3 a.m. due to the time difference. So I guess it's an early start to the day, and after that I can do homework. It's not that bad. I mean, I'll be at home, so considering the circumstances, it's a pretty good way out for me.
Yeah, fortunately, I'll be traveling back to my parents' house in suburban Georgia, suburban Atlanta. I'm a little bit worried about going through some airports because I have to get a connecting flight also out of Ontario Airport and then to Atlanta, which is the busiest one. And my parents are above 60, so it is, I'm worried about infecting them, and I'm going to be self-quarantining myself for a week or 2 just to make sure I don't infect them. In the midst of, so many students trying to find housing, on our different, Facebook groups, like for our class and for the buy-sell group, some students have been posting about how they have places to stay, or individual links to like Google documents, spreadsheets about places that people are offering. So I kind of got all those together in one place and made a single post about it to try and make sure that we're trying to help people who are looking for a place to stay, make sure that they can find something quite easily. But it's scary. I mean, a lot of people genuinely don't know where they'll be sleeping for in the next 48 hours, or what they're going to do with all their things, and it's a time of great uncertainty.
And not knowing when I'm going to come back and get them, so I really have to pick out things that I can live without, and we'll see what happens with my future, because I don't know if I'm going to come back to the US to work or go somewhere else for grad school. So maybe I will have to keep them here for a few years before I come back to the US and get them. So I don't really know what's going to happen.
I was so surprised at just how sad it made me.
I didn't think that I would be as emotional as I felt.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Co-Collegial St. Joseph. Please join in singing our entrance hymn number 625.
I was so surprised at just how sad it made me. The last time that church has been suspended was in the 13th century, so it's really a unique situation.
What's funny, as I'm celebrating Mass, I'm saying to myself, boy, I feel very emotional. I didn't think that I would be as emotional as I felt. To me, I will be getting up and celebrating Mass. My life is relatively unimpacted. But you know what is impacted is that the people who are here in this place won't be there. That's what's emotionally a bit trying. Those who have experienced ill health, we pray to the Lord. This is a church that seats 1,500 people, and people like to congregate together. We're social animals. We want to be together. The challenge is being together now actually passes on this illness. The governor had come out with a statement about gatherings of people 500 or more. It was our decision that based on what is happening in the world, it really is best that people not gather. The Lord be with you.
Mass was a little bit different. The priest kind of told us that we weren't supposed to shake hands anymore, that it was okay to spread throughout the church, and we haven't had communion wine for a couple of weeks now, and so that already felt really weird.
We've asked that people receive communion on the hand as opposed to on the tongue. You have to take precautions to make sure that you don't get somebody else sick, but at the same time not embracing and offering the sort of pastoral comfort that you typically would as a priest or in a congregation, the sort of warmth, and you really feel that. And I think that that's the reason why people seem so sad today. All of a sudden, this connection is really being tested.
All of us that, want to be good people in the world, we want to support one another. And it's strange to be living through this time where support actually means social isolation. And you're like, well, how do I help the people in vulnerable positions and vulnerable parts of our society if I'm not supposed to be there? I think we're all figuring out what it means to be good Samaritans.
When I look at this moment of this coronavirus, I say, how is God at work here? The public gathering of the community is what is lost. And this is going to be really a test of what we say, what is a church?
Church is always a place where I find solace and comfort, especially in these uncertain times. To feel like we're not going to have this place for the foreseeable future feels really sad, but we have to listen to what the parish says, and they want us to stay home, and hopefully we can save some lives, and when we come back, we'll remember not to take Mass for granted anymore.
We have a lot of customers coming in to get to-goes, and we figured it'd be a good idea just to give out hand sanitizer to anyone in need. It's good to see in rough times a lot of people are stepping out and helping out people.
Hand sanitizer. It's one of the things we're running low on, and one of the things that could really help.
We've noticed a lot of our neighbors around are running out, and even though they're not open, they still have, you know, to-go sales and food to go, and they want hand sanitizer. So we have a lot of customers coming in to get to-goes, and we figured it'd be a good idea just to give out hand sanitizer to anyone in need.
So they started making this hand sanitizer after getting a recipe and guidance from the Texas Whiskey Association, because they have the raw ingredients to make this stuff. And this kind of thing's not just happening in Texas. Lots of folks who have the ingredients are making hand sanitizer, since keeping your hands clean is one of the best ways to stop the spread.
Deep Ellum Distillery pushed out a message on social media offering sanitizer free to anyone who needed it.
When I saw that, no purchase necessary, I was like, okay, I have to come over.
You can use it for counters though as well.
Okay, cool.
While I was there, people stopped by. They wanted a bottle of vodka for virtual happy hours and a bottle of hand sanitizer because they'd run out.
But I'm not that worried just because I am young, but now I'm starting to see more stories of younger people like dealing with pneumonia and like coughing up blood, and that's pretty scary. So now I think I've been taking it a little bit more serious.
Distiller Stuart Vance says if you try to DIY sanitizer, you're not going to get what you need because the alcohol you have access to as a consumer is too low proof. The World Health Organization says you need 96% ethanol or almost 100% isopropyl, and those ingredients are just sold to the pros. With that in mind, more distilleries are using their supplies to make it the right way, so they can help neighbors in need.
We're a big bar community district, lots of live events and stuff, and a lot of people are hurting down here because they can't, have customers in. So I'd recommend just going out to your local, bar or restaurant and ordering to go at the very least, just to help out. It's good to see in rough times a lot of people are stepping out and helping out people.
I'd really love to start a coffee shop staffed by adults with special needs.
The disability population is so underserved.
It was amazing. I love it. A bunch of my friends were here. Interacting with the people out there was really heartwarming for me because I'm making their day and I love making their coffee. It's just fun.
This view of the Florida Keys is so beautiful that you might find it hard to believe that there's a crisis going on underwater. This was Carey's Fort Reef in 1975. This is what it looked like 40 years later. And this is it today. Scientists say we will all feel the effects if corals go extinct. The bad news is we've already lost about half of all corals in the world. The good news is that there are people trying to save them.
I wanted to be a pro surfer. There was no one that looked like me. So I had to become the person that I needed for everybody else. So I created Black Girl Surf.